Welcome back, everybody. This is part 3 of our double Dusy trip. If you haven't seen part 1 and 2, go back, check those out. Starting off day 3 on the trail, just left Thompson Lake, headed towards Ershim Lake. Got to see all the rocks on the other side go in this direction, but still a really good time. Just a reminder that Doug, so here in the green TJ, lost front wheel drive essentially. We did some repairs and got him rear wheel drive back, but in part 2 you saw him lose rear wheel drive on Thompson Hill, and we had to do a lot of winching to get him to the top. This is Summit Lake. It does not have a toilet, but is a beautiful campsite that is often overlooked. This is pretty late season. You can see some frost, but a lot of space to spread out. There is no steel fire ring here, so would be a more rough camp. Throughout this video, you're going to see Doug here working some of these obstacles with only rear wheel drive. So he ended up driving out from Thompson Lake all the way back with rear wheel drive only. We did have to stack some rocks, you'll see that. I don't think I captured any of his winching, but he had the winch I think 3 or 4 times. But other than that, doing basically the whole top of the Dusy-Ershim Trail in rear wheel drive only.
Picnic table, and not a steel fire ring but a rock fire ring, and a bathroom, plenty of flat places to set up a tent, lots of trees for hammocks. Bathroom. There's even some camping, I think, over on the other side of the road.
We were pushing to make it to Ershim Lake for lunch. We camped there on our first night coming in. Just a reminder, we're doing the trail both directions because of the closure at the dam at Courtright Reservoir.
The first part, I do have a outhouse here, and this is the one I think that's the closest to the lake, but there is another one across the creek there. Drive around to. So one of the largest, most places to camp, most popular places to camp. Not the most level, so you do have to kind of be a little choosy if you're setting up a tent, but there's some spaces that go off here. This one does have a steel fire ring. And a big, huge, nice picnic table. this is the lake. And it is amazing. See all that? It's a pretty big lake. Definitely see some fish jumping and stuff. Not the best if you need to get water out of the lake or something. It's kind of shallow and muddy here. I don't know if I'd go for a swim. It's wicked cold. Gorgeous.
After Doug took a quick nap, we're back on the trail again. This is very close to Ershim Lake campground. So this is the first obstacles you encounter going from Ershim Lake back towards Kaiser Pass. This is a pretty difficult section, and as we know, everything in the camera makes everything look flat, but definitely had to stack a couple rocks here for Doug. He was definitely bound and determined to drive most of this unassisted. Watching him drive a lot of this stuff made me, feel bad every time I used the lock button.
Don't hurt yourself.
This is kind of what the Dusy's like, just a lot of rocks that are kind of this size getting moved around by vehicles as they go back and forth on the trail. Never shows the elevation gain in videos, but this is a little section going uphill, leaving Ershim Lake. And then this is actually a pretty interesting little section. It's more outsloped than it looks on camera. And so Doug definitely was sliding to the downhill side, trying to get over some of these rocks.
This was where they found that guy with the track bar.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Easy now.
And we're heading for, I believe it's called Meadow Lake. I didn't get too much footage of that camp spot. It's also called Lake Camp. There's two closer together. I believe it's Meadow Lake that has the bathroom. And for the life of me, I can't remember what this obstacle's called, but I did get footage of everybody going down it. Kind of funny. This is just me driving down it first in the LX45. Nothing really crazy, but then I decided to speed up the video for everybody else because it's just us driving down a rock. It is a fun obstacle. You can't really see the best from the driver's seat coming over the top. Doug do it in two-wheel drive. Pretty much no problems for anybody else. And this is sped up 2 times, just so you know. And then, this is funny. This is Travis. And this is actually sped up 2 times. So I think he was just playing with some of his crawler box stuff, but it was hilarious to speed it up and have it look absolutely slower and normal than everybody else still. So that's where the campground was for the night. And by this time, everybody was getting kind of sick of the dust. We did get into camp early enough that people had time to clean stuff out and whatnot, which is always nice. Don't do that. It was kind of a staged picture, but we were having some problems with the bottle freezing up. It was one of those little 1-pound bottles running the propane fireplace, so they were trying to warm it up, stick it in their coat, stuff like that. This is Casey and his Ranger working section of trail. Again, much steeper than it looks and bigger rocks than video, but he's definitely having a fun time trying some different lines. Wishing he had a crawler box. If you need more specs on the vehicles, definitely go back and watch part 1 or 2. I went over the vehicles in there. Definitely the only real Achilles heel for Casey's little Mazda Ranger here is the gearing. Needs a crawler box or 4-to-1 in the transfer case. Truck's got a lot of promise though. It works pretty well, fuel injected, decent power, comfortable cab, heater, windows, all that stuff. Different seeing Travis play around with all the gearing he has in this Toyota comparatively. I don't think he's in his deepest gear here at all. I think he changes halfway up to something deeper, but you can just see how much more control the deeper gearing gives him over this stuff. And it's not always the right answer, and sometimes it's not needed, but it sure is nice to have it. Especially in one of these, manual rigs with a little bit less power. Just making it look boring. Casey's not the tallest guy, but I think it gives you a better idea how big some of the rocks are in this little section. It's a good trail. It's not super duper challenging, but it's steady. It's challenging enough, especially for how remote it is. Nice and long. We did it in 2 days on the way through the first time, and then we had 3 on the way back, including that big break on Thompson Hill, and that was just about right. Last obstacle, guys. Sorry this is coming to an end. This is that Z-turn from the first video, except we're coming down. somebody actually got some footage of me for once. I'm just trying to make this really tight corner between two rocks and then hard left-hand corner. Can't really tell in the video, but briefly there I'd stopped, and what I'd done is unlock the rear differential, I unlocked the center diff and the transfer case, and then I locked the front end. A little e-brake, and sometimes that helps the car pivot more, turn tighter, especially for this 112-inch wheelbase. Through a little bit different view, you can see kind of how tight that corner is. You're kind of back, if you need to do this back and fill in there, you're kind of driving up on a rock in your back corner. At the same time, you're trying to pivot around this rock on your rocker, and then whether or not you can fit completely between that boulder and that face. Sadly, I didn't get video of it, but Doug just drove right through in two-wheel drive. Short wheelbase helped out a lot. He was able to make this corner, from what he said, pretty easy. Casey's running full-time blockers front and back, so sometimes that kind of binds him up and he has to do a little bit more backing and filling. If he could unlock the rear axle, I think it would help. Last up here is Travis. Same thing. He's about the same wheelbase as my LX45, just to give you an idea of the differences in turning. Travis has a rear spool and a front air locker. And same kind of thing as Casey, like it just kind of binds him up sometimes and he can't turn quite as sharp, and the rear end's just not really listening as much. He was also having some steering troubles, as you saw in the first two parts, with kind of a little bit limited range of motion, but you can still hear the springs hit this, or hear the tires hit the springs sometimes. So just tight corner. Time, and I think he's got it. I think overall this truck did pretty good for its first major trip with Travis. He'd done quite a bit of work on it before this trip, lowered it 37s. Instead of like when he bought it, it had like big old balloon 39 IROCs on it or something. So it's working a lot better for him now. Getting his packing system a little bit better, a little smaller. Everybody was pretty happy with it, including Travis. Well, that does it for this trip, guys. We're headed out. We got back to Kaiser Pass, aired up the tires, and then we're able to stop in Shaver Lake for pizza.